So, we're going to start with Black Panther. So it says, Black Panther Wakanda Forever box office projections significantly decline in lead up to film's release. I would actually argue that this is a little bit hyperbolic. Like, significantly feels a little bit heavy-handed in the language, but it does decline somewhat. So the opening box office projections initially were $180 to $225 million for the opening weekend domestically, 445 to $590 million overseas.
Okay, and now we're looking at
170 million,
175 domestic
to 200, between 170 to 205 million domestic, 435 to 534. I suppose it is still a significant amount. I mean, that's a lot of money on anyone's dime, right?
And they're looking at 155 to 195 million internationally on the opening weekend.
Now, the interesting thing about this is the opening weekend for the original Black Panther was 202 million. But when you think about inflation, like, that's a significant drop that we're going to see here. Mm-hmm. Like, even if it beats 200 million for this opening box office weekend here, that's still with inflation. That's a lot less.
I don't know why I just feel like I want them to fail. Like, where does it come from? I don't know. Like, where does this animosity in me come from?
Yeah.
That
I don't have that.
I want everything Marvel to just fail.
With this one, it's more like I don't mind Letitia Wright, so I'd like her to see her be successful. But with the rest of it, I'm not really all that against this production. Not as much as I was against Thor Love and Thunder, because I thought the advertising for Thor Love and Thunder was stupid, and I kind of find Taika Waititi, as good as he is in some things, to be quite annoying at times. Ryan Coogler I find to be a talented director, a guy leading good productions, so I'd like to see them all succeed. But at the same time, you're right, Marvel is starting to wear on people. It certainly wears on me most of the time. There's a reason I'm always excited when we get to talk about DC news, and whenever it's Marvel news, I'm just kind of
This is gonna be 2 hours and 40 minutes of sanctimonious just garbage. Like, I'm sorry, but the whole thing is ideological, and the fans, maybe I'm the problem, okay? But, like, the fans are just cringing me out. Like,
what are they saying?
I was just looking at tweets from people who have seen the first showings, and one of them was like, I cried 4 times watching this. It was an emotional roller coaster.
Do you imagine that, like, there's like somebody needs to tell the story of, like, whoever the guy, like some guy on Twitter who's like, yeah, he did. I was literally next to some random guy who just kept randomly breaking out into tears in the middle of this superhero movie.
Yeah, I would turn around and be like, shh. But
would you stop crying already?
And then I saw, like, people weirdly thirsting for Namor.
Yes, you can't call him Namor anymore.
Can't call him
anymore.
Namor.
You have to say it with
Can
a
you roll your R's?
I can't do that.
I can't do it if I'm thinking about it. But yeah, I saw, like, thirst tweets for Namor. I saw also, like, just people talking about what this movie is going to mean for the culture of Africa and, like, their perceptions of women and of, like, gay people.
Did you see any of the stuff that happened after the first Black Panther came out, where there was people looking for Wakanda on a map?
Bruh. Are you for real?
That was, like, people were, like, looking up, like, on Travelocity how they could take a trip to Wakanda.
No way.
That was a real thing.
Yikes.
That was so. I mean, that's more of a problem with, like, history, or with, like, geography and, like, our school system, right?
Yeah, like, but still, it's just like, I don't know. Can you make a good, entertaining story without it meaning anything for, like, women's rights in the third world or something bizarre like that? It's totally unrelated.
Well, and that stuff isn't real. Like, that's all the studios in the media machine saying stuff like that. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. No superhero movie has ever actually changed anything for women's rights or for any type of
in a bad or good direction
an actual cause.
But there was that cast member, what was her name? Michelle Cole, is it? Who was talking about
Oh yeah, who only took the role because it had LGBTQ representation.
Yeah, I think she was either from. She wasn't from Africa, but she has like
she was
African
Ghana?
heritage
Ghana?
in Ghana. Yeah, and she was born and raised in the UK, and she did this bloviating interview where she said that her being represented in a film as a lesbian woman from Ghana, she's not really from Ghana, is going to change the perception of LGBT characters for people from Ghana because they have like anti-LGBT legislation.
And let's face it,
that's not true.
Let's face it, this is a movie that just doesn't have the actual Black Panther. It doesn't have Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
So you've been at a handicap from day one. You had all of the people. There was a lot of debate going on as to whether they should recast Chadwick Boseman.
T'Challa, and people think it's anti-male that they chose not to recast T'Challa.
That was the thing.
I don't know.
The MCU strikes again, where people were like, "Look, it's like
maybe it's not anti-male, but it is like." Telling that they would choose to replace him with a female character rather than another male character who isn't T'Challa.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it kind of makes sense with his sister.
That they're related, yeah.
And because in the comics, she did take over for like a small run of comics where she was the Black Panther, so technically it's canonically consistent. But the other thing here is that this movie falls directly in the middle of the other Marvel releases as far as its advanced ticket sales. So it's ahead of Thor: Love and Thunder as far as advanced ticket sales, but behind Doctor Strange. Or I might have that backwards. Yeah, no, behind Doctor Strange in the multiverse.
That seems
of madness.
Right to me.
Yeah, so
Thor: Love and Thunder, you really can't get any worse than that one. Watching that in theaters just made me want to die. Like
so and that was
not
that
to be dramatic.
Was that I don't remember. Was it shorter?
I think it was.
Yeah.
It still felt too long. Let me look it up.
So now you get to have the same feeling, but you get to have it for almost 3 hours. Guys, this movie is
We're gonna be sitting there for over 3 hours.
2 hours and 40 minutes the movie is. Now look, Jeremy Johns gave a good review of this movie. He said it definitely didn't need to be 2 hours and 40 minutes. He felt like there was too much time spent with a lot of the ancillary characters. Like Martin Freeman's character, but in general, he felt that the movie was good. He gave it like the rating, a good time, no alcohol required, which is like his middle.
This was like almost exactly 2 hours long, Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Just under 2 hours.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So they were way shorter, and it still felt like an eternity. And so when you count on the time that we get there, we get like our food and drinks, we sit down, we watch through the previews. Then it actually starts.
Yeah.
Like almost an hour after we got there, and we still have to sit through another 3 hours.
It's like bring your ibuprofen and your migraine medication because the loud sounds and everything. It's gonna give me sensory overload. Like listen, I have a hard time being motivated at all with anything to do with Marvel movies these days. There hasn't been anything that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Secret Invasion with Nick Fury on Disney Plus. That's about the only thing that they've got coming out that I have any type of excitement about. But that's because that's a political thriller. Whether they can actually do that well in the year 2022, I have no idea. Judging by the fall of their stock price yesterday, Disney isn't exactly lighting the board on fire with most of their work recently. Nobody seems to be liking Disney all that much. But this movie also will probably do better overseas than a lot of other movies, and I don't think like I said, I don't think it's getting a Russia release. I don't think anything comes out in Russia right now.
No.
Do you remember when Putin told everyone to pirate stuff as a way of pushing back on everything?
So maybe Wakanda Forever will get torrented in Russia, but it will do nothing for Marvel's bottom line.
You'll have to
but
sail
I'm thankful
the high
for
seas.
that deep down.
That they're going to torrent it over in Russia.
Yeah,
that's very mean of you. It's very mean of you.
Look, I'm just tired of a lame superhero movie getting pitched as like a milestone in our culture of the same gravity as like the civil rights movement.
We need like
it's a movie.
We need movies to advertise themselves as like not groundbreaking, not going to advance humanity, absolutely fluff that nobody needs to watch, but you're going to watch anyways because you've got it so easy here.
This is just caviar for critics. Like, all of the critic headlines have been, Wakanda Forever is a groundbreaking masterpiece. It's a miracle.
It's got 85 on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't honestly that high. I mean, that's pretty average. I think the reviews are pretty minimal. And also, we're going to have the introduction of Riri Williams. I would love to know what Caper2X thinks of that, given that nobody in the history of the world has ever liked Riri Williams, the character in the comics. We will see. But
by the way, I just wanted to do a drive-by shot at the costume for the new Black Panther.
Ah, yes. You have a problem with it.
I do. I think we've actually talked about this before, but it's unbelievable to me that, like, when the first teasers were coming out, people weren't sure whether the new Black Panther was going to be male or female.
I mean, I thought the costume said pretty well that it was that it was very at least the hips.
I saw people disagreeing about whether they thought it was a male or a female replacing T'Challa, and it's because that costume looked incredibly androgynous. Now, like, I'm not dunking on Letitia Wright or what her body looks like, but I just don't like the way they actively resist making female superheroes look attractive. And like women,
you can't have them look good. I think back to when they did the Black Widow movie. First of all, they gender swapped Taskmaster, but then it's very clearly a guy in the costume when they're doing the stunts. And then when the woman's when she takes like the thing off, it's like she's like half the size. They did the same thing in the Scream movies where, like, in Scream 4, I think that was the first time there was a female. Oh, no, that's not true. I'm sorry. One of the killers was a female in the second one, but when it's not Emma Stone, I don't remember the name of the actress, but the one who plays the killer in that movie is so tiny that when she takes the mask off, you can tell that she looks actively like a foot shorter than any of the shots.
You don't mean Florence Pugh, right?
No, I'm talking about in Scream 4, the horror movie.
Sorry.
I always forget that actress's name, but she takes her mask off, and you actively see that she's like a foot shorter than she just was.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of funny. Like,
yeah, there's a lack of continuity there, and also I said the same thing when Batgirl production shots were out before that got canceled. She looked like she was a mechanic, like that suit looked like a coveralls for a mechanic.
Yes.
I just resent that female superheroes can't look feminine and look like women.
Emma Roberts was who I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, she's a tiny woman.
Yeah, so that was couldn't that one. I always get Emma. I always go Emma Watson, Emma Stone, and then I never quite make it to Emma Roberts in the Hollywood in the Emma hierarchy. I
she's better than. I think Emma Roberts is better than Emma Watson.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't know anything about her, but
and Emma Stone.
Literally anyone's better than Emma Watson. She's insufferable. But yeah, so the costume comes off.
No boob window. Like I can excuse no boob window. I can't for cleavage.
Bring it back.
But can she like have boobs?
No.
At all?
Nope.
Or is that against the rules now? Like, I was just listening to this podcast about old Hollywood and why, like, women in old Hollywood films were so much more sensual and attractive and actually tantalizing than women are today in media. And it's simply because of, like, how comparatively repressive that society was. And it was sort of this feeling of like women have big boobs and I don't know how to handle it. One of them is going to poke my eyes out. And then they like shifted to in the 60s to like Twiggy and like less voluptuous women, and it was like less threatening, you know?
So what you think that there's a reason for that? That's some type of social commentary there?
There's some like new repression these days that means we can't
now
acknowledge that women have sex appeal at all.
Well, the reason for that is, and I really do believe this, is because remember, women can dress sexy as long as they're doing it for themselves. But the second they do it in anything created by a guy, you're doing it in service of the patriarchy, and then you're going to hear really, really amazing words like the male gaze.
That's the comparison I actually wanted to draw. If you look at any of these actresses from Wakanda Forever on carpets or doing press tours, they are dressed in the most form-fitting, skin-tight, revealing, feminine clothing that you've seen them in. But then in the movie, they cover everything, and their wardrobe is to make them look more masculine.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves in the industry right now, is they very clearly don't believe what they're putting on screen. It's very clearly an agenda. So it says they also noted pinpoint forecast tentatively lean towards the low end of current ranges. So they're kind of playing it safe with their predictions on where they think this would go. I think it still makes a good amount of money once it's all said and done, but I don't know how you do this long term after this without T'Challa. I would have loved to see them. Now, guys, I don't know any spoilers. I haven't watched any spoiler reviews, so I don't know what's happened in the movie. We're going to see it tonight. But I would have loved to find a way for them to bring back Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger character, but we'll see.
I like to think that some people are at screenings of Wakanda Forever right now, but they're going to the bathroom to watch PCC.
Yes, of course. Well, why
in the
wouldn't
meantime?
They? Or they're in the theater and they've just got us in their headphones while the movie's playing.
Yeah.
That's what they're there for. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.